We are.
We are.
We are. We are.
We are. Lofi Poli Sci. We steal the waves in the air and never give them back. We are Lofi Poli Sci. And welcome everyone to our 1-year anniversary episode. And what a crazy ride it's been. But before we even get started, we have to do something we've never done in the past year that we've been rolling. And that's issue a damn retraction statement. Wait, what? A retraction? I know we gotta be kidding, right? Oh, but sadly we are not. But luckily, it's not completely our fault. And really, I don't think anyone's gonna come at our humble little podcast for it. See, last week's top 10 list, there was an error in the reporting on South Sudan's score as a -2 on the website, on the actual country profile of South Sudan 2020 on Freedom House. That score placed them as the country with the lowest freedom rating and gave them the #1 spot on our list. However, that score was incorrect, and someone who is smarter and wittier and more research-oriented than I caught the mistake. The score is actually supposed to be a 2. And I even checked my own Excel spreadsheet of the country's ratings from Freedom House's own data page and verified it. Freedom House somehow mixed up their scores on the profile page, and I, in turn, mislabeled South Sudan as #1, where in reality, they should have been tied for #4. So, South Sudan, sorry about that. Freedom House, get your house in order. And if anyone wants to let Freedom House know, be my guest. Freedom House still hasn't returned my emails from last semester. Or the one before, in fact. And to that someone who found that error, you're simply always the best. So what a time for our first retraction on our 1-year anniversary episode. But now, what to talk about? And what a weird question for me to even ask. With 200 countries and 7.75 billion people in the world, we never wonder what to talk about. And yet, for some reason, after weeks of contemplating what to say on this episode, I'm still unsure. I mean, I've redone these show notes 3 or 4 different times, and I'm already going off script and probably will continue to do so. I've played and replayed this episode so many times and so many nights, just laying sleeplessly thinking what to say on our 1-year anniversary. And when I think of our 1 year, what we've had, what we've done, what we've built and been through, all the daylights and sunlights and midnights and cups of coffee. How do you measure a year in our life? How about love? And yes, that's a reference. I'm sure you can figure it out. But I think love is a good measure for us, for our time together. Love, that 4-letter word that gets thrown around a whole lot. It means so many different things to so many different people. But the reason I'd say it's a good measure for us and what we've built is because what we do is nothing less than love. What we represent, the we that we be, yeah, I'd call that love. And if you'd known me a year ago, which many of you out there do, still listening even though you've moved on in so many different directions, so many different places, doing so many different things. But I know you're still out there listening, being a part of us. You see, I am not the same person I was a year ago when we started all this. And I haven't changed as a result of the things that I've done since then. I've changed because of all of you and the dramatic and indescribable impact you've had on my life. You changed me, and I am all the better for it. See, a year ago and in a time in my life where the 19 was only one of 79 plus major things going on, you 79 plus were there for me. Through the end of the spring, the summer, the fall, winter, and the beginning of this new year. The amount of people that reached out to me, that really reached me, grabbed me, shook me wild, and said, "Wake up, no more sleeping in bed, no more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead." And yeah, reference, you'll get it. But I'll be damned if you didn't wake me up and change me forever. I'll be damned if you didn't save my life. Thank you, Lo-Fi Nation. You were there for me. And even this new semester, I've been shocked with the new amazing people that I've met and that have hit me in a real hard kind of way and that have kept me going day in, day out. It's you that keeps all of this going. These two flashlights, headphones, and a microphone, a reference for later. But it's you that keeps the things that we do going on 5 days a week. It's not me. All of you have made me want to keep growing and keep changing and evolving and to be a better person and a better human being. We are not the same that we were 1 year ago, and I thank you for that. But where are we today? Well, to answer that question literally, and to complete the above reference, where I'm at now? Well, I'm sitting in a closet. No lights, but that of my computer. 2 flashlights. Clothes hanging all around me. Blankets on the door. My headphones, microphone. And you. Where are you right now? And if you're unsure of that reference and what that description is all about, it's what turning a closet into a recording booth sounds like. Now you know. And of these several places I do record, this is, in fact, my favorite place to record. For one, the sound quality is the best in here. But for real, in this space, it's really just us. I'm completely disconnected from the world in here and dialed straight into you. I'm completely cut off. But at the same time, once my mic goes red and we start talking about what's going on in the world today, we are anything but cut off. And here we're more tuned into the planet and the people on it than most people will ever be in their entire lives. And here, for our 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, we are one with the planet and all the people on it. And that's not a reference. That's a fact. Lofi Poli Sci is about connecting to 7.75 billion people and seeing what they got going on in their day. So let's go with that and talk about today compared to a year ago. A little compare and contrast, a comparative perspective on ourselves. I'm not going to go into the whole story of how Lofi Poli Sci got started. We've talked about that enough. But if you really want to hear it, check out the last episode of Season 1, air date August 15th, 2020, episode titled The Story of Lofi Poli Sci. It's right after episode 100. What I do want to do, though, is play a little bit of episode 1 for you. Just the intro and the outro, though. So let me set it up like this. I'll play the first 15 seconds or so of episode 1's intro. And then right after, the first 15 seconds of one of this week's episode's intro. Welcome, everyone, to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. And that's right, Lo-Fi as in low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? Welcome, everyone, to the Lo-Fi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi as in low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. All right, now let's cue up the outro for episode 1 to compare to the outro of episode 234 from this week. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Let me say thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Lo-Fi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Tuesday's Top 10. Always remember, Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I'll see you at the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off. And what do we think of that? Crazy to think we had a lo-fi podcast with no lo-fi music. And can you tell the difference of recording straight into a computer microphone in an empty room or a full room versus recording into a podcast mic with noise reduction environment? But it's funny to hear myself from exactly 1 year ago doing this and then comparing it to today. And it's freaky to me to even just have recorded something to be able to compare from exactly a year ago. Never in my life have I had something like that. We've come a far way since March 18th, 2020. But enough about last year and enough about today. What about tomorrow? And where are we going with this Lofi Poli Sci thing? That's what I really want to talk to you about today. And the short answer is we're expanding the platform that is Lofi Poli Sci, and we are changing things up a bit. I'll hit the full list first and then I'll break it down afterwards. So, our news, fresh off that press, 7 new additions and changes to Lofi Poli Sci. Number 1, we're working on having regular co host episodes. Number 2, Thursday's episodes are changing format to a new Connect the Dots segment. Number 3, we're launching our own written publication, the Lofi Weekly. Number 4, we're starting Lofi Poli Sci live streams. Number 5, and coming somewhere near you perhaps, the Lo-Fi Flashcast / live in-person shows. Number 6, getting you to submit your requests for top 10 lists and good news stories. And number 7, episode takeovers by you. Now let's break all this down and see what we're really talking about. Firstly, everyone's already seen that we've had a couple of really great special guest co-hosts come on. They really enjoyed taking part in the show, and I loved doing it. I loved having them on. I loved having people in different perspectives. And from the feedback I've gotten from you, you really enjoyed it too. Which is the whole point of bringing in other people, to increase the voices that we actually hear. And I'm going to try to get at least 2 people per month, hopefully. And every other Wednesday, Lo-Fi Global News will be replaced with these special guests. But scheduling people to do shows takes a lot. And as I'm sure you can probably imagine, coming on a little podcast is on no one's list of priorities right now in the world. But at the very least, I'm going to try and have 1 person per month come on. And all guests are given the option of choosing 1 global issue to focus on for the entire episode, or break it up into 5 global issues they want to talk about. These episodes, the co-hosts pick the topics, and I am just there to talk to them about it. Our next change. Thursdays, we're doing away with Lo-Fi Global News and changing programming to a new segment called Connecting the Dots. You got a brief taste of this in yesterday's episode. The idea behind it, and the motivation really, is that because of the programming schedule we have currently, and what we're doing moving forward, we're simply not covering enough topics in a week. 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 200 countries, you could do the math. You know we're missing a lot, and I really want to do something about this. So doing the Connect the Dots, we can go over stories from a year ago, update them, add other stories to them, and then start connecting those dots and do some real Lo-Fi Poli Sci and projections and predictions about what's going on in the world tomorrow. Yesterday's trial episode was about 14 minutes. I'd expect these new Thursday segments to run a little bit longer than that. But we'll cover a whole lot just in that one day, that one time. And really, if you'd compare it to the 5 stories of Lo-Fi Global News, it's no comparison at all. We'll have a whole lot more content in that new Thursday segment. And along with adjustments to Thursdays, I want to hear from you about Fridays and Tuesdays. I want you to start submitting requests for top 10 lists and good news stories for Good News Fridays. I want us to expand. This Tuesday at the end of the episode, I asked for people to reach out with lists of countries and things they wanted to hear about. And 1 person already did, with what I think is a fantastic idea. Top 10 places to visit as a tourist, or top 10 tourist destination countries. This kind of list has drastically changed over the past 2 years, and I think it would be super interesting for us to consider this list here in 2021. So get at me with more ideas about top 10 lists you really want to hear about. And Good News Friday? I want to hear your news stories too now. It's all fine and dandy, and yes, I said fine and dandy, for us to report about other people, doing good deeds and whatnot. But I think we're ready to hear each other's Good News Friday stories. So for instance, if yesterday you were sitting alone outside eating your lunch, not really sure what to do with your time, and really wishing you had company, someone sitting with you, rather than being alone. And then a squirrel came up, slowly inching toward your french fries, eyeing you, then your fries, then you, then your fries, then you again, and slowly creeping on your fries. and you decide for some reason that the universe doesn't tell you yet, to gently toss a fry to the squirrel. And it very quickly evolves into the squirrel sitting next to you, and you sharing your lunchtime with a squirrel. That just makes you feel so good and so connected to the planet. I want to hear your stories like this. Tell me, share us. We all want this. Start sending me your feel-good stories to share with everyone. And let's make Good News Friday our Good News Friday. And I want to start doing birthday shout-outs, graduation shout-outs, acceptance into grad school, acceptance into law school, new internships, new careers. Send those too. Send all your good news. We need to hear each other's accomplishments right now. And P.S., that squirrel story was me an undergraduate, my first semester away from home, when I knew no one at university, but having lunch with a squirrel, it made my day. And our next one is a bit of a different one, and it's really the beginning of an idea. It's not at all fully developed. In the long run, it could end up being a lot bigger of an expansion of the platform than anything else we're talking about. And we're talking about the release of the Lo-Fi Weekly. This is going to be a written publication, our first, and it'll be a bi-monthly one-page essay I'll write and release every other Saturday. It's separate from Lofi Poli Sci, though under the same banner. The topic of each essay is my choice directly, and they're my words on each of the topics, and really this will be a lot more of me in the content than what you get in Lofi Poli Sci. Even compared to Pickering Unplugged, it's still something different. This isn't me talking about the news anymore. It's me writing about my life, about topics that are important to me. It's my writing, something very, very few of you have ever seen. But I think it's time that changes. The first 3 topics I've already got chosen, though I may alter them, but they are as of now. Comparative perspective. It's what I do. Democracy. It's my preference. Media. It's what I am. Like I said, these will be one-page essays, so very brief and to the point, but words coming from me. But as such, they obviously won't be available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or any other podcast app. There will be 2 ways to get the Lo-Fi Weekly. I'll release them on my LinkedIn page first, and the other way is get at me with your email address, and I'll send it to all the people who do so every other Saturday. Depending on how this goes, I very much see the Lo-Fi Weekly developing into an actual publication of more than just me. But what shape it will take exactly, I can't say right now. I mean, Lofi Poli Sci has very much taken on a consciousness of its own because of all of you. So I can only imagine that the same thing will happen with the Lo-Fi Weekly. So we'll see what you have to say about it. And our next new edition is Lofi Poli Sci going live. It's almost happened on Mardi Gras Day, or the day that Mardi Gras didn't happen, but I held back. That, however, changes moving forward. We hold back for no one from this point on. We steal the waves in the air, and we never give them back. I'm not sure exactly when these live streams will start taking place. The first few will probably just happen. No advertising, just me going live spur of the moment to kind of feel out and see how it plays out. But it will morph into a scheduled lo-fi live streams for sure. Likely on YouTube or Instagram Live, or maybe both. And this will give you a chance to directly interact with me during a Lofi Poli Sci episode. To ask questions about the stories that we cover, and more importantly, to add your own perspective on what's going on in the world today. Now, this next thing I've been wanting to do for almost the entire time the cast has been going on. I've just been, honestly, kind of scared to put myself out there in the world like this. But like I said, we hold back for no one going forward. The Lo-Fi Flashcasts are coming soon and are coming near you soon. This new thing combines the idea of podcasting and flash mobs into one. We all already know what podcasting is, but if you're unsure what a flash mob is, flash mobs are when a group of people just kind of show up to a place unannounced, make a statement, do something, do a dance, sing, all kinds of flash mobs out there. The Lo-Fi Flashcast is me showing up to a random place, quickly setting up shop, and then boom, Flashcast Lofi Poli Sci for 5 minutes, quickly pick up and go. And then after add the music, do the edit, put it on for everyone. I'm both excited and terrified to death by this at the same time because I know lots of people are going to scare. And then they'll say things like, "What's that weirdo doing? Who's he talking to? Is he talking to himself? Should we call someone for him?" I have no doubt this is going to stir up a bit of craziness and confusion. And I'm sure I'll probably get kicked out of a few places. But so be it. This is happening. If one day you swear you hear someone that sounds like me saying, "Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast," I may actually be a lot closer than you think. And eventually, I may very well let all of you know where I'm going to be and when in advance. So if you want, you can come and take part in this experience and actually get to talk to me after. And this last new edition, I'm not exactly sure when this will happen either, because as I'm going over this whole list right now, I'm thinking, damn, this is a whole lot of work. But, episode takeovers. This is a big one for me, and truthfully, for you too. This is me fully taking to heart that you are Lofi Poli Sci. The idea here is to occasionally have one of you take over an episode. You do the whole thing. It's yours to run with. You choose the stories, you do the transcript, the show notes, you cut your own intro and outro and everything in between. It's an episode takeover. It's your episode of Lofi Poli Sci, where you tell us what's going on in the world today. And all of these things that are coming, they're all about expanding the platform that is Lofi Poli Sci and the we that we be to you. It's about showing you that
We are.
we are.
We are.
You are Lofi Poli Sci. It's about expanding our platform to directly include you and using it as a platform to launch your own platform off of, to market yourself. The world isn't handing out anything right now. Sorry, planet Earth is closed for business. But Lofi Poli Sci, from now on, we're always open. And it's about time you walk in. This is about interacting with our community. It's about embracing who we are. It's about acknowledging that the best version of ourselves is together. We've lived in the shadow of others for far too long. It's our time to let our own light shine and to inspire all of those around us. It's time to be free of our own fear and to embrace the we that we be. If you want to get the Lo-Fi Weekly, we publish the first one next week. Get at me. You have an idea for a top 10 list? Get at me. You have good news to share? Share it with us. Get at me. Interested in being a co-host? Interested in the Flashcast, the live streams, episode takeovers? Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It really is the we that we be. Peace and well-being to all my human beings out there. Much love and always the best. Pickering, signing off.